We're going to pretend like I didn't film all of those clips beforehand. And that I remembered to intro this vlog because I know how to vlog. Right? Right. Hey guys, my name is Haley, and today I am just starting a reading vlog because I have learned with how busy I am, if I don't vlog, videos aren't going to happen. Because the sit down, like, chatty videos, not happening at this time. But I just randomly decided to start this today. This is what we're starting with. It's called The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed. It's about the LA riots in the 90s. That's all I know about it. And I read a decent portion of it today already. I'm like 80, 90 pages in. And I also, within the first like 3 or 4 pages, decided to annotate. So we are in fact annotating as we go as well. But I'm just going to bring you along with me for a week of reading. Hopefully going out into the world a little bit because I feel like I don't go out in the world very much outside of work. And I'm kind of sick of it because it's actually getting nice outside. So here's my intro to the vlog that I definitely remembered to film. But I hope you all enjoyed this. We'll see if I can have a lot more chatty updates and not just me filming clips, because that's what I usually struggle with vlogs. And as someone who doesn't pay for any of the like music services, if you are a newer YouTuber, booktuber, whatever, and you know either very, very cheap or whatever it's called, the ad royalty free music that's good for YouTube vlogs, please tell me. Because I swear I hear so many options, and whenever I look them up, they're not free. And I do not have the funds to be spending money on music, but I also don't want just dead space in the vlogs. This is a thing I've been trying to figure out for years. But yes, welcome to my vlog. It'll be chaotic, I'm sure. This is not the best angle I've ever done. But I wanted to show you. Is my mic working? Oh, hold on. Okay, yes it is. But I got two regular books, and then a blind date with book in the Little Free Library. So I wanted to show you guys. First, I got a local author from the area we were in. It's folk from Wadsworth, Ohio, which is near me. And then I have a book from Ta-Nehisi Coates. And my favorite thing about this Little Free Library, oh gosh, the glare, is that they do a lot of banned books, and this one is a literary award winner. But I've gotten several little things of banned books from there, so I frequent it often. And now I'm going to open my blind date, which this says a must read for breaking codependent patterns, break free from people pleasing. I think it might be The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, but who knows. It comes with a cute little pen, these little sticker things for like journaling, and then all of theirs come with these really cool, what are these called, bookmarks. Sorry, we were literally out like DoorDash, and we were in the area, and I was like, ah! I'm gonna open this one-handed. It's not going to work out well for me. Oh geez, this is a bad idea. I also need to go shower, but I needed to film this clip first. Ooh, codependent no more. How to stop controlling others and start caring for yourself. I've never heard of this. I thought it was going to be The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, because that's the self-help I think of. When was this written? Oh, it's a little damaged. That's okay. So am I. 1986. Dude, what? That's crazy. I'm really actually interested. This looks like somebody spilled coffee on it, which honestly, same. I would be reading about codependency while drinking coffee as well. That makes perfect sense to me. Well, this is fun. I've never heard of this. But yes, that's like my little mini Little Free Library haul. I have to go shower. Goodbye. Good morning. I have finished this. I spent the vast majority of last night reading it. I'm going to try to show you without bumping the mic because I actually have it clipped to me. But I just finished this. It's like 10 a.m. the next day. And I could not put this down. I literally read it in the car while we were out and about last night. and I'm obsessed, and I'm really upset because apparently this author does not have any other books that I can find out, and this came out in 2020. So you're going to sit here with me while I chat about it as I add my tabs to them, because I did highlight and underline and such as I went, but I just wanted to chat about it for a little bit because that's what we do in the reading vlogs. But so I picked this up at a library book sale, not knowing anything about it because I was in the midst of me collecting books by Black authors because I didn't own very many that I hadn't already read. Oh, my cat's awake. I didn't own very many that I hadn't already read, and I needed to replenish a lot of that. So that's what I did at a lot of the library book sales this year, as you've probably seen in my like thrifted book hauls or like any book haul that I've done so far in 2025, because I think book bans are going to become more of a thing, unfortunately, as if they aren't already due to like Moms of Liberty. But this is the story about a teenage girl living in LA in the 90s. It is during the LA fires, 1992, during the LA riots and fires, which I have heard of, but I personally do not know a whole lot about. One, because I did not grow up anywhere near LA, and two, because I feel like a lot of it got swept under the rug because it was dealing a lot with inequality and things like that. And that is a thing that America does not like to talk about, and that is how we are in the position that we are in now, unfortunately. So this deals with a lot of things that I really not enjoyed, but was glad to read about in a contemporary story, because I feel like a lot of the things discussed in here are things that are discussed more so in nonfiction, especially by Black authors, which I have been reading up on more so this year than I ever have before, because that was one of my reading goals. Not that I made a reading goals video. And this also dealt a lot with communism, because her sister is a self-proclaimed communist and it gets involved in the riots and such. So I loved hearing her perspectives on everything. I'm not going to flaunt my specific political beliefs on here, at least not yet. I probably will, because I don't want to end up on a watch list, even though if anybody has ever seen my reposts on TikTok, I probably already am. But this just really talks a lot about inequality and the idea that, quite frankly, Black people are treated different, especially by law enforcement. And like when they start a riot, it's considered being disruptive. But when white people will start riots or like do looting and such, it's just like, oh, they're poor, misunderstood children. And about how people of color in general do not get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the law and such, which, as we all know, is due to the country's racism that is still left over from the slavery era and is obviously still very prevalent today. But yeah, I'm going to go through and add my tabs. And as I go, just for the sake of me not filming myself talking for like 10 minutes, I may pop in and out of here to talk about quotes and stuff, because I did underline quite a bit in here. And there is a quote towards the end, which this is like almost a 400-page book that I will read out loud to you because it was my favorite quote in the book, and I circled like everything in it. Yeah. We're only this far and I already have that many tabs. So I'm going to be here for a minute. Okay, Kat. She has something to say. You want to talk to the people? She has spoken. Popping back in because I realized I didn't even talk about like half of the issues. So a big part of this book is that our main character grew up feeling somewhat isolated by other people of color because she is born into a rich family, and her family kind of is very dysfunctional in a lot of ways, but it is also why her sister ended up going down the path that she did in an attempt to actually do something for the greater good of other people, because she grew up in a rich family who did not want to expose her children or their children to the horrors of the world or the horrors of being black. Like they did have the conversations a lot when they were younger, but not to the point that a lot of the less fortunate or less, the word I want to use, the poorer kids had to deal with, because the system is rigged against them when it comes to capitalism and everything like that. So a big part of this is that she is also having issues in her friend group because all of her friends are white and she goes to the rich kids school. So she doesn't know how to relate to the handful of black kids that do go to her school. So there's a lot of talk about like racial lines. Oh, it's windy because the window's open. If you can hear that with the mic, sorry, I'm trying to get a new mic. But there are a lot of issues that this poor girl is dealing with, and this story deals with so much when it comes to racism and classism and anything of that sort, and people trying to do the best that they could with the tools that they had at the time. But yeah, I wanted to mention that because I don't think I said that in the beginning of me talking about all of the racial injustices and such. I'm going to continue tabbing. As we can see, we're going to be here for a while. Another thing I really like about this story is that our main character is very, very flawed. Like, there is a whole storyline about how she is sort of cheating with her, not sort of, she's cheating with one of her best friends and her boyfriend. And she tries to rationalize it, being like, I'm a good person, and like, the guy, it's like the guy's fault. It is also the guy's fault in this situation. Oh, I already ran out of purple tabs. Okay. But there's a whole flaw in her character by doing something that she knows she's not supposed to, because she's always been brought up as the goody two shoes rich girl, and she wants to not be that. So she rebels in little ways like that, which obviously does eventually blow up in her face, as you might imagine. This also talks a lot about other LA history, about like they talk about the internment camps of the Japanese after the wars. They talk a lot about how, again, I mentioned earlier about how it's considered protesting when it's white people, but riots when it's people of color. And the biggest thing I realized with this is that I am very much her sister. I am Joe. Her sister's name, who ran away from the rich life, cushy life, as she likes to put it, that she grew up in, and got really involved in protests, got really involved in communism, and also got really involved and like went off and got married in 2 seconds. Well, that is not me. A lot of her like ideals are very similar to mine. And so she's always like, we have to do something. The system is broken. We have to do something. And if that hasn't been me for the last several years, once I started to educate myself on a lot of these things, then I don't know what is, because there's so many issues in this world, and it's gotten so much more blatant and obvious, even for people who look like me at this point, that something needs to be done, or we're going to stay in this perpetual state of what the current potato administration is doing to our country. Not that I've ever been like gung ho. Jesus, allergies. Not that I've ever been gung ho about America in general to begin with. I've never been like that. But I do care about the injustices that are going on in the world, and I'm trying to better myself and educate myself on a lot of the things that did not affect me as a child because of the color of my skin, which several people and many, many people in this country do not have the privilege of doing, or having the chance to not know. So, yeah. When I get to that one quote, I will read it because it's my favorite. I found another quote that I'm going to read out loud to you that kind of sums up the stance that the book is taking on racism. It says, people glorify protests when white kids do it, when it's chic, frustrated Parisian kids or British coal miners or suffragettes smashing windows or throwing firebombs at inequality. If white kids can run around wearing their bodies like they're invincible, what do the rest of us do? Those of us who are breakable, those of us who feel hopeless and frustrated and tired and sick of feeling this way again and again. Sometimes we just go ahead and break ourselves. That also talks a lot to the inequality within our prison systems, which is another conversation that is had a lot in this story. And this book is literally full of quotes like that. Like the purple is like quotes that I found very, very moving, and then the pink is just like pretty quotes that I really liked, or like feelings that I could relate to within our main character, within the people that she was interacting with. All right, here's the big long quote I've been talking about this whole time. It says, the media and the politicians keep stereotyping everyone who was out there during the riots as savage or lawless or hooligans or thugs or underclass, not representative of the real America. But Jo was out there. Jo is her sister. And that's not true of her at all. And if it's not true of her, then it's probably not true of at least some of the other people who were out there too. My sister is gentle and kind and thoughtful and opinionated and delicate, and also impulsive and outraged and angry. If anything, Jo was out there because of her values, because she cares so much. I've been reading a lot of the books Jo left behind, all these history and civil rights books, some of her old textbooks from school, trying to understand the world, trying to understand her. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time doing the wrong thing, but maybe some of her reasons were the right ones. Because a bunch of dudes beating one dude who was already on the ground until he's brain damaged and broken is wrong. Because prosecuting people differently for the exact same crimes because of their skin color is wrong. Because some people being able to buy private islands while other people sleep outside on the ground is wrong. Because knowingly destroying poor communities with drugs let in to fund wars against foreign regimes is fundamentally wrong, because even though you enact a Civil Rights Act not even 30 years ago, it doesn't erase centuries of unequal wealth, unequal access, unequal schooling, unequal living conditions, unequal policing. You can't tell people to pull up on their bootstraps when half of them never had any boots to begin with, never even had the chance to get them. Or when you let people burn whole thriving Black communities to the ground and conveniently forget about it, because maybe the problem isn't only with the bad people, maybe the problem is with the whole system. And that is how I tabbed and underlined and highlighted the shit out of that whole thing. Because that's another whole thing here, is a lot of this book is her not understanding her sister, because she has had the privilege of not having to deal with any of these things because of her upbringing, because her parents have sheltered her so well from the world that she is a part of, that she doesn't know how to grapple with it. And she thinks her sister is just causing trouble to cause trouble, because that's the world that she doesn't understand a lot of the intricacies of what her sister is actually fighting for, and she thinks that her sister is just being ridiculous. So when she finally does look dead in the face at all of the issues that are surrounding her that she hasn't had to deal with because of her privilege, it's like a slap in the face of her realizing, yes, this system is broken and it doesn't work for people who look like her, and she has to deal with that a lot later than her peers did at their age. And also, this was in the 90s, and all of these things are still very much true now when it comes to inequality and such. And that's why we continue to have protests, and a lot of the protests get swept under the rug, like the Black Lives Matter protests that happened, which were a big part of why I ended up leaving my church cult, if you've never heard me talk about that before. But yeah, stuff like that, very, very prevalent in here. So I guess I haven't held up the cover much. I highly recommend, I've never heard anybody talk about this, so I highly recommend The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed. And I'm going to finish my tabs, and then I'm probably going to start another book. I don't know how much footage I have because I've been talking on here about this for a while. So we'll see. One more quote that knocked me on my ass near the end of this is she's remembering a conversation she had with her grandma who passed away when she was little. It says, and her grandma was saying, that was 3 months after I arrived in California. Grandma Opal said when I asked her about it, Santa Monica was still segregated then. What? Jo and I said in unison, here? That doesn't make any sense, I said. None of it ever did, Grandma Opal said, and shoot us off so she could nap. And if that doesn't sum up the issue of slavery and racism in America, I don't know what else does, because the whole idea is that none of it makes sense, and it never did. And anybody who tries to justify it is just being racist. Sorry, I'm going to get heated talking about this. I need to go. And there you have it. Let's see if I can do this without hitting my mic. All of my annotations. Maybe I'll do a top-down one. Hold on. And there we go. We have all the tabs. all the tabs, all the spring that is aggravating my allergies, and a cat. And that wraps it up on the Black Kids, which I will definitely be talking about for a while to come. I sound raspy, it's because I am. I was sick for like almost 2 weeks because it's like spring sickness season in daycares, which is where I work. And now the allergies are also in full effect. So that's also a big reason that the filming hasn't happened. But yes, I am unsure if I want to stay on the hard hitting YA train. I do have another one, I think. I know this one deals a lot with racism. I don't know. Henry and Naomi. Okay, so it's not sapphic. I was unsure if this was sapphic or not. I know this has to deal with racism, and it deals with the author, I believe, is Hispanic. She grew up in East Texas, but she is Hispanic. So I could read this. I also own We Are Not Free, which I also got at a library book sale, which was following the attack on Pearl Harbor. 14 Japanese American teens find their lives irrevocably changed, which would also deal with the same sort of timeline, or a little bit before the book I just read, for another hard-hitting one. Or I am also, if I want to take a break and do some lighthearted, I'm in the middle of Carl's Doomsday Scenario, which is the second book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl, I can't talk, universe series. I think there's 7 or 8 of them. I really enjoyed the first book. I hear this is apparently popular in a lot of sci-fi circles. It's been a minute since I've been into sci-fi, but I saw actually a British YouTuber is the only person I've ever seen talk about it on here. It was Beth Bartholomew, whose channel I love, and she read the first book and really liked it. And I will say, if you like the Hunger Games but want something more sci-fi, I do recommend this series. It is very fun. It's not like world-changingly crazy different, but I do think it's very fun. I do understand the hype. I gave the first one 4.5 stars. And it's literally just this absolutely bizarre concept of one day these aliens come to Earth, and everybody who was some sort of like covering. So like if you were inside a house, if you were underneath the roof of a car, whatever it was, like whatever covering was above you, smashed everyone that like was under one. And then at our main character, I'm not doing a good job of explaining this. Our main character like is outside trying to save his cat from jumping off the house, so they survive accidentally. And then turns into what is essentially an RPG game where you're a dungeon crawler and you have to make your way through these levels. So it has like a Hunger Games-esque element to it, but it definitely very much differentiates itself from like a battle royale Hunger Games type of thing. So I really enjoy it. I go back and forth on whether or not I like RPG games. Like I really liked watching people play Baldur's Gate. I would never personally play for it because I hate watching the like actual battle parts. I think they're super boring, and all the leveling up and stats I'm not into. But the other concepts when it comes to RPGs are very fun for me. So I'm on the second book. I might continue with this one for a little while just to take a break from the heavy hitting stuff, but my goal is to vlog throughout the week, so we'll see how much footage we end up with. Hello, updates. I think last time I left you I was trying to figure out what I was reading next, so I ended up reading, gosh, how far did I get? I ended up reading more of my ebook, which is Carl's Doomsday Scenario. I read about a little less than 100 pages. I'm on chapter 13. Finished off one of the boss battles in there, and then my Kindle was dying, so I was like, okay, I will start another physical book. And then I went to start one of the hard-hitting contemporaries. One of them is right back over here now. The We're Not Free. What is it called? Yes, We Are Not Free. And I decided that I can't handle hard-hitting YA fiction back to back the way that I did after reading The Black Kids. So I decided to pivot and read some romance because I've owned this for like 2 years and never read it. I know it's a super popular like book talk book. And I was like, I need another fast like cutesy romance. I hear that this makes people cry. I've been reading it for like an hour and a half, if that, and I'm 150 pages into it. So this is flying by super fast, and I figured I should update you before I finish it. Because today is my day off from work, so I do have plenty of time to just sit around and read. But as we get later into the week, that is not going to be a thing. I really will only be reading here and there, like 30, 40 minutes on my break, which I probably won't get many clips of. I'll try to remember to, but I don't even always read in my break at work. And then I have like, because I've been working early shifts, I really only have like an hour or two tops in the evenings to read. So I wanted an easy read for the rest of the week. And my intention was to make this my book for the rest of the week, but I'm probably going to finish it, if not come close to finishing it today. I also, for some reason, thought this was similar to Speak by Laurie Hall Sanderson, not in the YA way, because I know it's an adult novel and I knew it was a romance, but I thought the reason that he couldn't speak was going to be like more psychological. So hearing that like it's actually like a physical reason that he can't speak has been very interesting. I hope that's not a spoiler. I assume most people have read this at this point, but I'm enjoying it. It is a very typical like romance book. It's been quite a while since I read just like a purely heterosexual romance book, because I know I'm going to be reading a bunch of queer ones for Pride next month, and I have a bunch of vlogs and videos planned for that. And I don't even know if I've shared with you guys yet, because I just got it a couple weeks ago. But I have one of those book trees. Ignore my gross fan. One of those book trees, and I put all of my queer books on there. So I would be able to easily pick from them. Pick from them for Pride Month. And I think I counted I have like 50. And I know I have another one. Ooh, is this crooked? Maybe. I have another one coming in the mail that comes out. Cruel is the Light by Sophie E. Clark, I believe it is. Comes out, and I'm obsessed with this cover, and I've been waiting for it to come out, and I have it pre-ordered. So that will be coming in the next week or so. So that'll be added to the pile. But yeah, I'm going to read my silly little romance. That might make me cry. We'll see. Who knows? I know it's made thousands of people cry. And then I'll let you know what I end up reading the rest of the week, especially if I end up finishing that one today. Because that was supposed to be my plan for the rest of the week as an easy read. Hello, it is later that evening. It's dark, or it's starting to get dark, so the lighting's probably shit. But I finished Archer's Voice. And I feel like this is a testament of just because I read something quickly and it's a fast read does not necessarily mean it was a good read. Like, for example, I read The Favorites by Lane Fargo in like an evening accidentally last week. Had the time of my life. Read this in about 4 hours. This is full of tropes that I don't like. I'm going to list a couple of my issues with this. One, if you like Lifetime movies, you might like this. I don't like those. I had a feeling this was going to be either really good or really bad for me. I ended up giving it 2 stars. So if this is your favorite book in the world, feel free to click away. Because I am going to spoil, like, slight spoilers on certain things. My biggest issue with this is I did like Archer. Archer is the main reason I kept reading. I did like the small town. I don't like the trope of somebody owns the whole small town and they're just evil for the sake of being evil. My other biggest issue with this was the fake out at the end, where I had a moment of, is this a romance novel? Have I been lied to, or is it not? And I feel like Travis in particular, if you have read this book, Travis in particular was forgiven so easily for the shit that he did throughout this book to ruin people's lives. And it was just forgiven of, oh, he was raised that way. He thinks it's... I don't care. He's a fully grown adult man. He is capable of turning his life around and realizing that the way he grew up was not the right way to be. Hated Travis. Hated that it was just brushed over. That, oh, he's really not that bad of a guy at the ending. Hated it. Honestly brought this down like a whole half star. I was gonna give it like a 3, and then I thought about how much I hated that. I also, there's a whole, this copy comes with, what's it called? The epilogues, the extra epilogues. There's like a POV of Archer and when he first met Bree, and then there was, what's the other thing? An extended epilogue. Didn't read them. I already hated the first epilogue. One of my least favorite things in romance books is when they're just like, and they lived happily ever after and have a bunch of children. Or if it ends with, oh, I'm pregnant. I hate it. As somebody who has a bit of a phobia of pregnancy, hate it. And it's so many romances. So yeah, I didn't like this. More talking out loud. I feel like the 2 stars is generous because it was not a good time. So that was a dud after reading The Black Kids. So I think I'm going to go back to reading Dungeon Crawler Carl for the rest of the evening, which is only like another hour or so before I have to get ready for bed. And then we'll see what I end up picking up. I am like slowly chipping away at, which one is it? The Mariana Zapata that I keep putting down and then picking up months later. All roads lead here. I am like, that one is in my work bag, so if I feel like reading physically, maybe I'll get that out. Part of me really thinks I should start a physical book before the work week starts, or I probably won't read another physical book until Friday night because that's how my brain works. I did pull out because I was like, oh, maybe I'll read another contemporary. Like contemporary romance. I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that to myself. So I did pull this out. I might read the first chapter. This is one of those like weird girl lit books. I think it's compared to Convenience Store Woman and Bunny. Both very weird books. Did I give them 5 stars? No. Did I have the time of my life? Yes. So I might pick up this or chip away at that this week, but otherwise I'm probably just going to read the Dungeon Crawler Carl books for the rest of the week. So I might not have that much to say because I am further into the series. But yeah. First book of the video, great. Second book, complete fail. Didn't like it. Will be getting rid of it. And as I anticipated, I did not film during the week. I think I got like 2 clips. One of me going to a little free library and like one of me right before work. I did in fact read during the week, which is more than I usually do. But I'm here to wrap this vlog up so I can start another one because I already have 30 plus minutes of footage and that's going to be fun to edit. So yeah, the only other thing I finished was, God, I'm trying to remember the last thing. I think the last thing I talked about was Archer's Voice, which I didn't like. And I finished Carl's Doomsday Scenario, which is the second book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And then I also read Blob, which I think I mentioned wanting to read. I did actually read this during my work week, shockingly. Because if there's one thing I never do is read physically during the work week, let alone reading in general on my breaks. But yeah, I'm here to wrap up the 4 books that I finished. I'm not going to go in order because there's not a whole lot I can say about the Dungeon Crawler Carl book. So Carl's Doomsday Scenario is the second one. I really enjoyed it. I like how fast these books are and how like it is an RPG game, but in book form, which I feel like I appreciate more as somebody who watched people play Baldur's Gate and everything on YouTube while it was huge. It's really fun to watch. I am not someone who enjoys playing D&D type like role-playing games, but I do like to watch other people do them. So seeing it in book form, very fun. Big fan. I'm definitely going to read the rest of the series, and I'm currently on the 3rd book, which I have not started yet. And then the first book I read in this vlog was Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed. As you can see, I annotated the crap out of this. This is a very important read. I'm definitely going to put it in a bunch of recommendations for not only books by Black authors, but also YA books, because I feel like more people in this age range need to read it, and I've never heard anybody talk about it, so I feel like I need to scream about it from the rooftops. So I gave this 5 stars. And then I read Archer's Voice, which I did in fact read in 4 hours because it's an easy read, but I didn't like it. I liked Archer, and that was about it. I liked Archer, I liked the small town, I hated our main character, I hated the ending. This was not for me, and I'm going to get rid of it somehow. And then I read Blob within the space of, it's called Blob, A Love Story by Maggie Sue. I picked this up in a little free library a couple weeks ago. I don't even think I've hauled it yet or anything. And I was like, I just need a short book after finishing Archer's Voice and not liking it. So I was like, this is less than 300 pages. It's really short. I'm going to read it. It's one of those weird girl lit books, and that was all I knew. And this is about a girl who finds this literal blob. Like, she thinks it's a blobfish, like the ones that come out of the ocean that should not be there. And she finds it, and then it turns out that it is sentient, and it starts to grow eyeballs, and then it turns itself into a man. And it is like this weird allegory for her life. And it was very strange. I also really liked the way that this ended because it was like this whole lesson on how she is living her life and the things that issues she has that she doesn't deal with, and how she thinks nobody likes her and all of her insecurities and such like that. But also, this book like weirdly hit me in the feelings with a lot of personal stuff that's going on in my life. Like, it deals a lot with her dealing with her family, and they have a very strained relationship. It deals a lot with like her family selling her childhood home, and like a lot of these really hit close to home very unexpectedly at the exact moment that I was reading this book. So that was the thing that happened, and it's probably the reason that I gave it 4.5 stars, because I feel like it was definitely right book, right time. If I had read this at another time in my life, I'm not sure I would have loved it as much, but this hit home for the time being. So those are the 4 books with the Dungeon Crawler Carl book that I will put up over here that I read in this vlog. I hope you all enjoyed this. I'm just going to edit this as fast as possible and throw it up for an upload tomorrow because I haven't uploaded anything in 3 weeks. And I'm probably going to start another vlog because this seems to be the only way this works for me. But I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.